So Yehuda, who are you road tripping with?
Who am I road tripping with? So this is a really good question, and I think that for me, like I began to think like, who's a good road tripper? I think the best road tripper of all time is the Baal Shem Tov.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Like, is there anybody else that like? There are so many stories about him road tripping. Everything about him is road tripping. He's going here, he's going there. They're all like, jump on the wagon, let's go. We're going with the Baal Shem Tov. Who knows? We're road tripping. So like, I think he's the road trip king. Um, and I think from there, it just, you can go any which way you want to go. But for me, I think it's got to be the Ropshitzer, because the Ropshitzer, I feel so connected to our holy Zaida, but his books, I'm not going to say meh, because his books are amazing and they're so deep, but I don't feel connected to him through his book the same way I feel connected to Rabbi Nachman through his book, or to the Piasetzna through his books. I love the Ropshitzer books, but the Ropshitzer, I think my whole relationship with him is through stories, and maybe it's through blood. I don't know. I really don't understand anything about the Ropshitzer, and his Torahs are mostly non-understandable. It's a very weird relationship that I have with him, but I feel like I mamish get him. Like, I'll even read stories, even the ones that we're only allowed to read like certain times of the year, like Ropshitz Knedlach. Dude, Ropshitz Knedlach, the stories don't, you ask me to explain to you what they mean.
They're making no sense.
They make no sense. There's no, but I can tell you, I understand these stories so deep. Like when he talks about like,
Yehuda, can you give us one Ropshitz Knedel story? I feel like this time of year is okay because it was just Shvi Pesach. So it's like still Isru Chag. It's still Isru Chag Pesach.
You only can tell or hear Ropshitz Knedlach if you had 4 Kaisis by Siddur Mashiach. Because I did it with my kids this year, and it's.
Now, I remember last year's Shvi Pesach sitting with you and all the chavra when we were all drunk as skunks and just laughing and laughing and laughing at the Ropshitz Knedel stories. Oh man,
Ropshitz Knedlach. They're just
right. They're Mashiach stories. They're like stories of like from another level. But you can't give us.
I'll tell you one. I'll share one story. I think this might be one of the most understandable ones. There was a Yidla who mamish, he didn't know anything. He didn't know anything about Yiddishkeit, barely. He knew that there's one God and that there's one Mashke, that's himself. And he knew his wife Chanala. And he knew that on Pesach, you eat knedlach. So he turns to his wife Chanala and he says, Chanala, can you do me a favor? Can you make the holy knedlach? And of course, Chanala goes and she mamish. She's, getting to the end of Pesach, she sweeps the floor and she takes all the crumbs of the matzahs and every bit of matzah that she could find, and she puts it in and she squishes them together and she puts in a little schmaltz, and she mamishes crying and the tears are falling into the knedlach, and she's like, I'm mamish making knedlach for you, Hashem, and for Mashka, like this is going to be the holiest. And she goes and she looks around for the pots, and she sees she's got small pots, big pots. She's like, no, none of these pots are going to work. I'm going to get the huge pot that I use for washing the clothes, and that's the only one that's going to be used. It's a huge pot, and she brings it in, schleps it, she puts it on the fire, fills it up with water, puts the knedlach in, and she brings them this huge pot filled with knedlach, and she brings it to Mashka, and Mashka sits down, and he looks at these knedlach, and he goes, oh, these knedlach are amazing. And he starts eating 1 knedel, 2 knedel, 3 knedel, 4, and he's eating these knedlach, and he just keeps on going. And you can imagine this pot is filled, and she's just like mamish, she can't even read Hebrew, but she's like just crying. Her husband's eating knedlach on Pesach. This is like the highest thing in the world. And he eats them so many knedlach that his stomach is literally bursting. And suddenly he starts looking at the knedlach, and he's like, no longer smiling anymore. He looks at them and picks up another knedel, shoves it in, swallows it. Finally, his stomach is hurting so much. He looks at these knedlach and he goes, murderers! enough of you. You're just trying to kill me. Wait, how many knedlich are here? And he takes the whole pot and he throws them out the window. And his wife kind of looks harsh. She goes, what's going on? And he's saying they're murderers. And she threw them out the window. And of course, Chanala goes outside and she picks up every last knedel and wipes them off and puts them back in the pot and brings them all back inside.
Gewalt.
Oh, that story gets me every time.
Wild. It's wild. You should know that I'll tell you one more. By one of the Ropshitz at Einiklach, they used to bring to the Ropshitz and to the Jikabur, to all the kids. There was this thing that they would do. They would bring, all the Hasidim would all bring a couple knedlach, and they'd bring them for the Rebbe on Shvi Shel Pesach. The truth is, Reb Chaim of Sanz also, he used to come and he'd be like, I'm so excited to eat the knedlach, like we have to quickly daven Marav. Of course, it took him to 12 o'clock till he made Kiddush on Shvi Shel Pesach, Achron Shel Pesach, sorry. But he'd mamish be like, come on, we have to go fast, we gotta eat knedlach. But anyhow, so by one of the Ropshitz or Einiklach, I don't remember which one it was, they bring all the knedlach. And now one of the guys noticed that when one of the women, when she was making the knedlach, she was crying and it went in the knedlach, and he was like an istinus, like it grossed him out a little bit. The fact that her tears went into the knedlach.
All right, we know some Ropshitz Einiklach who are shtickle istinus.
Exactly. So this Rebbe is over there, and they bring all the knedlach into him, and he sees this chassid, and the chassid is looking to make sure that he doesn't get from those knedlach, And so the Rab, this Einikla, this Ropshitzer, we'll just call him a Ropshitzer because he is. He grabs a knedel and before the guy could think, he just shoves it into his mouth and covers the guy's mouth, so he just has to eat it. And he goes, "That'll teach you for not looking in places that you shouldn't." You don't look at the holy women when they're making knedlach. Anyhow, it's not but the stories they're just wild. But that's the Ropshitzer. So I think for me, going on a road trip, I want a road trip with the Ropshitzer. There's an awesome story, one of my favorite Hasidic stories, also about another mashke, but it's called Mashke Couldn't Pay the Rent. Anyhow, the whole story is an interesting story, but the cool thing is that this mashke is on the way to Rebbe Elimelech of Lezhensk, and he bumps into 3 Hasidim. Now the 3 Hasidim that he bumps into is the holy Chayza, and the holy Ropshitzer, and the holy Rimanover. And we only know in the story what the Chayza was saying, but I know that if we were there, we would have been on the floor listening to what the Ropshitzer was saying. So that's really what I'm looking for, and I want a road trip with the Ropshitzer. I want to see him cracking people up. I want to see him, being Misameach Chassan V'Kala, to the point that all the angels are by him, and Gevalt, all the Tikkun Chatzais in the world, all the tears in the world, there's no room for them because it's by the Ropshitzer, it's just, Ois V'Chedva B'Mkaimai. And so that's the second one. My third one, I don't know. It's really tough. I kind of want to say Elio, he's also road tripping all the time. And he's mamish there for every single Yidala, that needs a pick-me-up on a road trip. And but I don't know, there's so many tzaddikim. But I think Elio Hanavi, I just want, the more that I think about him, Daniela actually told me last night, on Matzah Shabbos, we talk about Elio Hanavi. So it's still Matzah Shabbos, right? And
Bet. I could tell you a story about how even for us it's still Matzah Shabbos, but go on.
Well, with Abe, we're all, this kashrus gadol right now. So it says that when Hashem created the world, he asked all the angels, says, should we create man? And there was one angel that said, yes. And that angel was Eliyahu Hanavi. And Eliyahu Hanavi said, not only that, but I'm willing to go down whenever you want me to go down to be with those people, because I know how valuable every Yidla is. And Hashem said, okay, I'm going to send you down to that world again and again. And mamish, when I heard this, I was like, whoa. And this is mamish, we say, Eliyahu Hanavi Zachar Latayv. He's the only one that mamish, turned, what?
Ah, so that's why we call him Elio Malach Habris. Because he's a
Yeah,
malach.
he's a malach.
Ah, cool.
I never heard this before, and it was so. But I just mamash got so warm and fuzzy. I'm like, he's and he mamash. I'm thinking about it like he's hustling around all the time to be everywhere for us, you know. And he's putting on any costume that'll work for us. Like he's such bittel. It's wild. Anyhow, so I think those are my 3 road trippers. All right, sorry for long road tripping.
No, it's awesome.
Who's your road trippers?
Okay, who's my who do I want to trip with? Well, because you asked me, I had time to think about it, and so I started thinking, like, which tzaddikim. Right away, I started thinking about which tzaddikim do I like. Have I heard stories about them on the road? So obviously, Baal Shem Tov, as you mentioned. Like, I definitely would love to get on that wagon and experience that. What's it called again? Kfitzas Haderech, and just end up somewhere and have some kind of crazy trip. The other one I thought of was Reb Shlomo. I want a road trip with Reb Shlomo. So many stories I've heard. He was also always traveling everywhere, and everywhere he went, he shlomoed the situation. Like, he was able to just connect. I want to just be with him and watch him connect to people, you know, on the road, going one place to the next and just connecting to everyone we meet. I want to be involved in that. So, and the third one is Reb Nassan. And the reason why is because of the stories of, he was always on the road. But there's one story that I absolutely love that Reb Nassan writes in his memoirs called Yimei Maranat, where he talks about how on his trip to Eretz Yisrael, it was just him and one other guy was with him, and they ended up getting on a boat to go across the Black Sea from Odessa to Istanbul. I don't know how you pronounce that. And there was just the two of them and a whole bunch of sailors carrying a cargo. And once they got out into the sea, and everything was good, so the sailors all broke out their instruments, and they started playing music, like sailor music, and they all started dancing and drinking, and Reb Nassan just danced with them. He writes about how I just danced with them, and they were happy about whatever they were happy about, and I was happy about being on the way to Eretz Yisrael. But what I loved about the story so much was like when you read Reb Nassan's writing, his memoirs, it comes across as just like a super genuine, very real, a person that you would love to hang out with. That's what he comes across as, the way he writes. And just the image of him, like, you don't picture normally, when you picture tzaddikim, you don't, like we do, because I guess we've heard a lot of Hasidic Maises, but normally when you picture like big tzaddikim, you don't picture them like hanging out with a bunch of sailors on a boat and who knows what kind of music they were playing and he's dancing with them. But that where Nassan was. And I feel like probably be pretty cool to road trip with him and get into situations with him. And I want to give one more honorary mention to our buddy Menachem Nuchem, the holy Chernobler from Beit Shemesh, that I have road tripped with him many times, and he's definitely one of my top choices to road trip with because he always makes everything like Reb Shlomo'd everything. And the Ropshitz are Ropshitz everything. Menachem Nuchem's everything.
True that. I think that what Abe said before about that was like, what you want a road trip. And I'll tell you, could be we just need to do some more road trips. Like when you go to Rabbi Nachman, your mom is road tripping with Rabbi Nachman. You know, when you're on the way to the Baal Shem Tov, your mom is in a Baal Shem Tov story. And when you're on the way to Reb Shimon, Gewalt, we're on the way, you know? So I mamish feel that. I feel that very deeply. And we've had some really awesome road trips together.
No doubt. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Amen.
We definitely covered a lot of ground tonight, or today, wherever we are.
I knew I'd make a good choice going with the two of you, because now I've just road tripped with the best. You know, there's nothing like riding with the best. Hanging out with the Ropshitzer, Gewalt, man, Reb Shlomo, Reb Nassan. I'm in. Eliyahu Navi. Gewalt.